Hello and welcome to a video designed to provide information in relation to current smoke alarm legislation in place within Queensland, which has been significantly changed in more recent years and will continue to undergo massive change in the next 10 or so years, or 2029 I believe is the last instalment of the legislation changes. It started as of April, the information I give within this report is relevant for the date April 2019 when the video was done, and it commenced in January 2017. So I have to give a disclaimer, I guess, that all the information is relevant to those timeframes, and that you should always not act on the information within this video, but just double check with the Queensland Fire and Rescue Service to see if there's been any changes to the information I give in the video, particularly if it's 2021 or sometime after when this video was done in April 2019. I don't think that'll be the case, but always prudent to check, and I have to advise that you do that with the Queensland Fire and Rescue Service. Alright, so smoke alarm legislation for residential properties is governed by 5 main pieces of legislation: the Fire and Emergency Services Act 1990, the Building Fire Safety Regulation 2008, the Building Regulations 2006, the National Construction Code 2016, and the Australian Standard for Smoke Alarms, which is 3786, and that was last reprinted 2014. So there's a multitude of different legislation all governing this smoke alarm installation for residential properties, and in essence all achieving the same thing. But we'll go through now what basically it is about, what it affects, and the types of dwellings and stuff, and the conditions that are applicable. So it's quite a long video, but it'll cover everything and all of the conditions that are in place as of today. So the legislation basically separates the requirements for smoke alarms into 3 dwellings. One is existing dwellings that are obviously older. 2 is any dwellings that are being sold, leased, or leases are renewed. They have separate laws applicable to them for smoke alarms. And the last category of houses and dwellings that the law breaks down into is new houses being built, new construction, or any existing houses that have major significant modifications or renovations, where they will be subjected to these laws in the last third. So let's start with existing dwellings. From 2017 January to 2027, the law in place will be that when smoke alarms are being replaced, the alarm that is to be replaced must be of a photoelectric type and not contain an ionisation sensor. Existing smoke alarms in place must not be any older than 10 years old, or if they are, they must be replaced. Any alarm that is tested that doesn't work must be replaced immediately, and any hardwired smoke alarm that is being replaced must also be replaced with a hardwired smoke alarm and not one that's a battery variety. And then in January 2027, the laws are going to change again for existing dwellings. There's another phase that's being brought in, and that will say that for all dwellings from 2027, existing dwellings, all smoke alarms must be photoelectric in their entirety, less than 10 years old, operate when tested, be interconnected with each smoke alarm in the dwelling so that they all act together, and furthermore that smoke alarms must be installed on each story, in each bedroom, that they're always connecting in the bedrooms. If that no bedrooms connect into hallways or stuff, that a smoke alarm has to be fitted closest to the bedroom and nearest to the point of exit. And smoke alarms must be hardwired and have a battery 10-year battery backup. So that's the requirements for existing dwellings. We then move on to the secondary part, which is dwellings that are being leased, sold, or renewed leases. So from January 2017 until January 2022, 5 years, all of the smoke alarms must be tested as a minimum, with there being a change of the lease for rental properties, or at every 12-month period, so whatever comes first. There must be a form filled out, Form 24, stating that this has been done in compliance, has been done with the regulations and laws, and that's lodged with the Queensland Land Registry Office. Then from 2027 onwards, the same requirements will be in place for the existing dwellings, for smoke alarms, which is they must be photoelectric and not contain an ionisation sensor. They must be less than 10 years old. They must be operated when tested. They must be interconnected with every single other one in the house so they all operate together. And each smoke alarm must be installed in each bedroom. They must be in hallways in every level. And basically, if there's no bedroom on a story, then in a position that's closest to the nearest exit. Also the smoke alarms for leased dwellings need to be hardwired and have a 10-year battery backup. Now, the last one is legislation for new dwellings or dwellings that have been significantly renovated and upgraded. And from January 2017 onwards, they have been susceptible, or the following laws have been in place. Smoke alarms in all dwellings must be photoelectric and not containing any ionisation sensor. Be hardwired to the mains power with secondary battery backup. Be interconnected with every other smoke alarm so that they all activate together within the structure. And smoke alarms must be installed on each story and each bedroom, always connecting the bedrooms. If they're not connecting in the bedrooms, then other parts of the story that is closest to the bedroom, and then if there's no bedrooms on a story, then in an area that's closest to the nearest exit. No battery smoke alarms allowed for new construction. That's the law for new dwellings. So those are the 3 different areas and the types of laws that are applicable. Pretty significant, manageable, and there's times to enforce them, particularly for the existing dwellings. A lot easier to implement the changes for new dwellings because we can adapt, but when you've got existing structures, a wee bit harder. So in summary, there are 3 different kinds of laws that are, similar laws, but applicable to 3 different dwellings: existing structures, dwellings leased or renewable leased, and new construction. Different years of commencement for the legislation changes, some 2017, some 2022, and 2029. So there's different phases that they're being brought in. New smoke alarm legislation came into place from January 2017. That's when it all started and kicked off. And it was really as a response to a devastating effect with a group of a Samoan family out on, I think, Woodridge, where a big portion of the family died and there was no smoke alarms. And all of this, that was, I think, in 2010 or 11. And then from that point, all of this has been, and positively and for good reasons as well, as tragic as that was, but all of this legislation is to minimise the risks of any deaths. So just to reiterate, whilst the information in this video is current for up to April 2019, always double check with the Queensland Fire and Rescue Service, as they will be able to give you the most up-to-date legislation in place. And yeah, it's always advisable to do that. So I hope this has given you some good informative information on smoke alarms and the legislation that is in place as of the time stipulated. And if you are buying a property in the future, we'd love to be able to help you out with your building and pest inspection needs. And thank you for watching the video.